Hello and welcome back to SuperCoach Edge. Now, we all love a slice of warm cherry pie, but in round 10, he served us up an absolute treat in the form of a 150, whilst many hollered for a Marshall in place of TDK, and boy, did he deliver with a massive 179 on debut for many sides. But as is always the case with the yin and yang of SuperCoach, the highs have to be outweighed by some lows, and it's come in the form of injury to popular premos in Horne-Francis and Macrae, almost decimating our forward line. So very nice of the SuperCoach gods to give that to us. It's absolute carnage on the cusp of mid-season buys. As a welcome back, Liam, how are you, good man?
Thank you. It's good to be back. It's good to be back.
There was of course, rookie coach AFL.
Yes.
He was filling in, and quite admirably, I must say, did a fine job.
Did a great job.
In your seat. So I must ask, because we both said it's virtually warming your seat. Is it still warm? And is there an imprint of his arse cheeks in your chair?
Does feel a little bit weird, I have to say.
Wet? Hopefully not.
Not wet, thankfully. But just a little bit, just not molded to me.
Oh yes. Yeah.
So I'll have to do some sitting over the week.
Remold it.
Like
back
that's
into your
episode.
back into your cheeks. Yeah, exactly. Oh, very nice, very nice. Well, it's good to have you back, and back into all things SuperCoach,
Yes,
of course. And
back.
there is a little bit of carnage, but of course, it wouldn't be SuperCoach without it, would it?
No, of course not. Lots of carnage, as always. But I think it'll be interesting to see how people react. And I think it might create some differentiation as well on side. So looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Now, before, of course, we get stuck into that, Liam.
Yes.
I've been trying to take over your role of throwing to our, various forms of social media. We're the good folk, the you people, the good people. Yep. I didn't insult them well enough, I don't think.
No.
I haven't got that I don't know, that twang in my voice like yourself. That's kind of like endearing, but also insulting at the same time. So didn't get any.
I'm going to insult you, but you're going to be happy about it.
Exactly right, and that's what I think. That's what I think people love about you delivering it. So I'll throw to you, Liam, to do the honors.
Yes, on YouTube, you people search SuperCoach Edge, and don't forget to subscribe so that you are notified when our content does drop from week to week. On Twitter, you'll find us at @SuperCoach_Edge, Damon at DamoJ88, myself at Liam Evans_95, and on Facebook, Insta, TikTok, search SuperCoach Edge, and that's where you'll find us.
Very nice. Geez, it's great to have you back, Liam. I'm glad the pressure is off my shoulders now, and I've been practicing as well, and I just can't hit it. But one person who has hit it,
yes,
on behalf of us, and he's hit the mark because it is a absolute legend by the name of Craig Romeo, who has joined up as our latest YouTube member, and not just a member, but a platinum member, the first of its kind. So the inaugural platinum member. He's gone to the next level in terms of his support. So big shout out to Craig, and really do appreciate the support from him, along with our others as well who are supporting us along the journey. We've got Ben Taylor as well, who is even more so our latest. He's actually joined up as of a couple of days ago. So big shout out to Ben Taylor as well. Adam, who is, of course, our undisputed #1 ticket holder, and Nicole Fisher, who does some incredible work helping out the masses on Discord as well, and an integral part of our SuperCoach Edge community. So those absolute legends, a big shout out to them yet again. And if you are interested in perhaps joining these legends, you can do so on YouTube. Just go and check it out on the landing page. There is a join button there. Click on that. And for the price of a coffee, one coffee a month, you can support us, and, no obligation. But, if you want to pitch in, shout us a coffee virtually, feel free to do so. There are a couple of perks that come with it as well. So once you click on the join button, you will have that pop up and you can check that out. We'll try and do as well, maybe some exclusive live streams to some of those members as well, exclusive, and live stream and chat about their teams, and perhaps impart some help, assistance, everything else with regards to trades and structure and whatnot. But Liam, let's kick things off with, as we always do, a brief look at how we both fared in round 10, and then update who was victorious in our in-season head-to-head. So I ended up scoring a 2,408, which I was pretty happy with. And ranking-wise, finally, Liam, I've made some progress. I've gone up, this is a little bit of numerology here, 4,444 spots, just love all the fours, to now sit ranked 9,593. So finally, my team has fired as one, as we were able to make up that solid ground there, shifting into the top 10K after stagnating for the last month, going back and forth, at least, between, 1 to 2K spots, which I ended up highlighting last week. And I was questioning, when's this going to happen? When are they going to fire as one? And it happened finally. And they had to wait that 1 week. So thank you, Supercoach gods. But just goes to show that things can turn rather quickly. In terms of my trades, we briefly opted to hold onto TDK, but was awfully worried Carlton might rest him against the Giants before they head into their bye in order to give him that 3 weeks rest, or that perhaps Pitnet might double team in the ruck upon return to give him a bit of a chop out against the bigger bodied Briggs. And I didn't want to take the risk, so opted to bring in the field marshal himself, who went big in that juicy matchup against Flynn, as I thought he would. But I just didn't expect him to go that massive. How crazy was that? Just dominance on another level.
Oh,
but Flynn, he was the other one I punted in order to upgrade to Sinclair, who will no doubt be a top 6 defender. And Bice, he was cashed out for Simpson to give us bulk dollary dues in the bank for our next upgrade. But Liam, how did you fare in the round that was?
Yep, I did score 2,417, so it was a nice score for myself this week, which was much needed. In terms of ranking, I'm sitting 28,207th overall, so I did got just under 11K spots, so 10,804 spots, which is nice. Bit of a steady climb in the last 5 or so weeks. Kind of going up 5K, I went 5K, 5K, 1K, and then 11K this last
jump.
week. So big, nice little jumps in round 6, which is good. Just going to keep going that way, I hope. Will be
they know
nice.
we're coming. You've stolen the old slogan from Carlton. We know you're coming, Liam. I've been calling it every single week. The past couple of weeks with rookie coach, when I've been going across this, I'm like, it can turn very, very quickly. It can turn very quickly. And late last season, as I always mention, you had so many wins on the trot against me in a head-to-head because you were smashing me in scores. So it just goes to show, just get your structure right and you'll get a bit of a wet sail and away you go.
And find some good pods as well. Yeah. When you're further behind, if you find some good pods, jump on. It's always good to get a bit of a leg up. In terms of my trades, didn't really go for any pods really. TDK. So I did use my last boost this week. Traded out TDK, of course, to Marshall. I was a bit worried about TDK, like we said, the impact of Pitnet coming in. Does he sort of dual ruck this coming week? Does he miss and give him an extra week off with the bye coming up next round as well for Carlton? So give him sort of that 3 weeks. Looked like he was kind of slowing down slightly. There was a bit of a gap appearing between that top 2 ruck in terms of Gawn and Xerri. So I don't mind moving him on there. Marshall will seem to be, getting a bit of a rise as well. So moved him across to him. I think it was the logical option there, as most would have done. Others, I was considering a bit of a pod option in terms of DCAM. He's putting together quite a nice season. Probably not unexpectedly, but sort of one that's probably under the radar slightly. Just because he does play obviously that ruck role, so you're really kind of only looking at your top 2. It was a bit more expensive, so that's why I opted away from it. But he is averaging 112 for the season, with a 3-round average of 116. So one to consider if you are looking for pods. Bice moved on to Jordan Clark from Freo,
very nice.
Which was a nice trade. I had my eye on him. It annoys me. He was in my original team at the start of the season, and
I recall
got scared off. Got scared off, and then
he's there now, though. He's there now.
He's there now. That's the main thing. So that's been a positive there, and then I let go of my slow cash cow, my slow burn of Kako, the slowest of burns.
The man you're going wacko for.
I know, he's out of my side. Watch him
He's
have a big
making us
one this
wacko.
week. And I brought in Simpson from the Dockers as well. Yes. And then was trying to figure out how I could loop him on, but I couldn't do it. Which was unfortunate, but
yeah, I was the same on the bench.
I was like, oh, he's got a good score. I'll loop him on. I'll do all these trades around the ground, and I couldn't actually do it. So it didn't make a difference.
And all the non-playing players, I imagine, are in the middle.
Yeah.
Just concentrated in that one area of the ground. Classic.
With no DPP. But anyway. That's it. Obviously got Jason Horne-Francis, got Jack Macrae that are both questionable this week, as well as, Cleary, Hewitt, and a plethora of non-playing players in my midfield bench.
The joys of around this time of year, it becomes ever so dry with the cash cows on offer, and you're just trying to navigate and find ways to, to upgrade your team still, whilst not jettisoning it by bringing in non-playing rookies that are already ruining us. So it's like, I don't know, it's a bit of a hard one. I mean, of course, we'll get into it in a moment with regards to trades, but yeah, it's we have to get creative. Got to get creative. But there's a couple there that we can potentially look at, and we will discuss, of course. But in our head-to-head, Liam, you came through with the absolute goods with a narrow 9-point victory, giving you your third win with a ledger 3 wins to 7, and the differential now sitting at 438. So looking pretty good, Liam. Looking pretty good. You're coming back, and wins a win.
The way is up. Exactly.
Actually, speaking of which, I heard that in what store was he in? Sorry, it was Woolworths, and because I was in the dairy aisle looking for some milk, and the only way it was up came on, and I immediately thought of you, and I was going to snap it and send it to you, but I was like, how do I do it? I'd just literally be filming the milk. And then you, like, if you watched it on mute, you'd be like, what the hell are you doing?
Thanks, Damon. You're having a stroke.
I'm just a big fan of milk.
Which, I'll be honest, I probably would have watched it on mute the first time too and be like, what, are you okay?
Yeah, not questioned it, like give it a thumbs up type thing.
Yeah.
That just reminded me of that. Yeah, because I was in a conundrum. I forgot to mention it to you. So there we go. Classic. The only way is up. But speaking of which, Liam, it is now time to unveil our wrap-up of the week in parody song form with the Round Remix.
Captain Loophole, double score dream, best 18 heroes, that's the ultimate scheme. Super coach hustle, points on the board. Every player stats like a secret hoard. But now is the time to get your fix. It's the Super Coach Edge Round Remix. Round Remix.
Yes, the Round Remix, of course, is when we hit play on a parody song that we've put together, which best summarizes the round that was. Now, last week, Liam, we delivered a bit of a diss track the way of Lockie Neal, and he responded nicely. So our hit rate of players delivering after featuring in the Round Remix is pretty good. You know, as we saw with SPP, if we discount a certain Jaden Short, we're doing all right. But that bloke's beyond help, I think.
Yeah, let's be real.
Yeah, let's be real. But this round's remix track is one that pays tribute to a lock and load captain, the helmeted ruckman who is flying the flag for us in recent weeks.
Yes.
So let's hit play on what's titled Red Hot Xerri Pie.
Xerri Pie on the rise, the game's on the line. Hitting high scores, yeah, the moment's divine. Premium ruckman, he owns the whole scene. Tackling machine, smashing through like a dream. Locking on the captain's call. Helmet warrior standing tall. Every week he leads the way. Super coach hero come to play. Ready for battle, he charges the field with the fire inside and fade as a shield. No second guessing, just grit and might. AFL Thunder takes the night. Lock and load the captain's call. Helmet warrior standing tall. Every week he leads the way. Super coach hero come to play. To go is a war cry loud. Every tackle shakes the crowd. Victory whispers through the air. This Xerri Pie ain't just flair. Lock and load the captain's call. Helmet warrior standing tall. Every week he leads the way. just flare. Lock and load, the captain's call. Helmet warrior standing tall. Every week he leads the way. SuperCoach hero come to play. Oh, come to play. Oh, come to play.
Well, it just sums it up nicely, doesn't it? He's straight out of the oven. Straight out of the oven. You know, you have to let it cool. He's that hot. You know when you get like an apple pie from Macca's, or you get your variety. I don't know, a brand. Mrs. Max, maybe. Do they do apple pies?
Yeah, I don't know.
But I always find when you have an apple pie, they are scorching hot.
Yeah.
But a cherry pie, I don't know. Did Macca's ever do a cherry? I think they did like a variant of something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But still, red hot to the touch, and you don't want to be gobbling down on it too quickly. So he's going to stay hot for a while, I think. So if you don't have him, a lot of people jumped on him on the weekend.
I don't know if you can jump on him now. $715K, too expensive.
Oh, that's almost like going for Gorn, as a few people did on the weekend off the back of TDK. But very nice by him. Good old Xerri Pie. And of course, if you have any creative ideas about, song ideas, all that sort of stuff, feel free to hit us up on socials or in our Discord as well. There was someone that actually slid into our DMs on Twitter and came up with an idea, but we'd already generated this track, unfortunately, and felt as though it was too hard to ignore this man because he's been running hot for a fair while and he deserves a track. He deserves a round remix.
He does.
So the idea that was pitched our way, we'll keep it under our cap, a little bit of a feather in our cap, and we will perhaps unveil it in the coming weeks. No doubt we will. It was to do with potentially a bit of carnage, and it will ramp up. So,
I think, we can definitely use that. It'll be more of that.
Yeah, there's going to be much more of that. Now, with round 11 on the horizon, Liam, let's jump into trade talk with The Price is Right.
The Price is Right.
The price is wrong, bitch.
Yes, in The Price is Right, we discuss potential trades, trade targets from week to week, players on the bubble, and even whether you should be trading specific players at all. So first up, we're going to jump into You're Fired. And Damon, who is on the list first?
Yes, well, we've only got this one man on the list here under this category, and it's unfortunate. Apologies that he doesn't have any company, but we felt as though there's a couple of other players that aren't quite, I guess, must fires. But I think with Finn Callahan, he kind of fits more of that mold. And it's due to the injury outcome. So obviously Finn Callahan priced at 539.6K, break-even of 107. And scans have confirmed that Callahan will miss the next 4 to 6 weeks with a shoulder dislocation sustained in a marking contest on the weekend. In all likelihood, he will miss the entire bye period and thus not be of any help in covering the bye. So I think it's a wise decision to pocket the nearly 100K profit that he has made and move him on.
Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks, get off. Time to get off. Move him on. Just not a great week with the other potential or highly owned trade options as well. Definitely, I think of those three that we'll talk about, Callahan, Horne-Francis and Macrae, I think is definitely the one that's most certainly a trade, like the highest trade importance. Now let's jump into in the firing line. So these are guys that, you could trade, you could hold. There's merit either way. First up, we do have the horny man himself, Jason Horne-Francis, forward mid eligible, 499.6K, break even of 157. Now he went down in the opening minutes with a hamstring injury, as did like every single player in that game.
Oh no, it's crazy, wasn't it? Epidemic.
I don't know what was going on there, but anyway, he's been ruled out for 4 weeks. Given the Power have their bye in round 12, at least one of the 4 weeks he is out for that 4. He will be missing anyway due to that bye. So, it's sort of a game that we already expected him to miss.
So he's missing virtually like 3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
Yep.
The other reason for holding him is whoever you bring into your side will also have a bye. So there's no real benefit, trading into a player that's having a bye as well. So they're also going to miss. But can you afford to hold a primo that's going to be out across 2 of those bye rounds in round 13 and 14? If you're struggling to field 18 players in those rounds, it might be beneficial to bring in a primo that can play one of those rounds. who may have a more favorable buy in another round where you do have ample cover.
Mm.
So that might be, bringing in a player like, from Freo or St Kilda who have that favorable buy. I mean, obviously you're still missing them, but yeah, just something to consider.
What about Bont, maybe? I don't know if Bont has
Same
one of
buy.
those. Same buy. There you go. Geez. So it's something you need to consider, factor in, and work out. If you are in a bit of trouble, perhaps keeping him. If you want to keep him, are there other guys that are going to be missing either of those rounds that you potentially trade out? So you can sort of keep Horne-Francis in that respect there. But yeah, it's a bit of a tough one. I was like, when I first heard the news, I thought he's out. Like, I'm going to get rid of him. But now with Macrae being out, I don't know if we can afford to hold both, which is annoying.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're virtually doing a sideways trade, aren't you? Like, having to trade them to another virtual, because, like, I mean, Horne-Francis especially has probably seen more of a keeper. Macrae's kind of fallen away a little bit, who we'll touch on in a moment. But yeah, it's kind of like it's unless you've got boosts with that third trade, because you've only got two trades, it's like the traditional one up, one down doesn't work if you're having to, jump on like a Cooper Simpson if you're running dry on cash cows, and then having to use the other trade as a bit of a sideways to correct a Horne-Francis or a Macrae, and not, upgrade a maxed out rookie to a primo per se. So you're kind of, sidewaysing for that week as a bit of a write-off in a sense. But unless you're getting in a better averaging primo that's by far and away much better than those two. But yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know. Like, I actually don't know what I'm going to do. I've obviously got both Macrae and Horne-Francis. My initial reaction was to hold Horne-Francis, but I don't know now.
Yeah, it's like, I was thinking about it, like in my team talk, this is before Macrae, the Macrae news came out, that trading Horne-Francis allows me to go straight to someone like a Clark and then have almost 200K in the bank to then bring in Whitfield the week after. So I think it helps me in that respect, like at least for that 1 week, bringing in that extra primo and then having another primo, not having to downgrade.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something I need to work out. But
I think it also comes down to your team structure, because if you're shifting Horne-Francis essentially to Clark in your backline, what's the cover in your forward line? Potentially, I'm not specifically you, but what I mean is
who's taking
across
spot
any
in the forward
sides.
line?
So who's taking, because we are struggling with rookies at the minute, and I don't think there's any rookies that are really reliable scorers at this stage. So yeah, just one thing to consider there.
Yeah, I think DPP is definitely going to come in handy. Like in my case, for example, I've got Warner in the midfield, so I can swing him into the forward line and take either one of Horne-Francis or Macrae's spot, and then swing Holmes from defence into Warner's spot in the midfield, and then play someone off the bench. Oh no, sorry, Clark would come in off the back of that. So it'd kind of be swings.
Across swinging players around would be good.
Yeah, but otherwise, if you happen to rely upon a rookie off the bench, it's not the best. I mean, you could probably manage it across the buys, because with the flex, it does help things a little bit more. Like, we're not relying upon just those rookies off the bench in each line. But yeah, something to think about.
Definitely something to think about.
Let's move on and have just a bit of a brief chat about Jack Macrae. So forward mid, 517.3K, break even of 151. So he sustained a punctured lung on the weekend and was forced to spend extra time in Perth due to being unable to travel due to risks associated with flying. At this stage, it looks as though he could be sidelined from anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. So there are a lot of unknowns as to when he will actually return. Now, a quote from the Saints in their injury update, they said, "We'll monitor Jack over the next few days. However, at this stage, it's unlikely he'll play before our bye in round 13. So similar sort of scenario to Horne-Francis, because the Saints have that round 13 bye, which means at least one of the 3 weeks that he's going to be missing will include the bye. So it's virtually 2 weeks that he's going to be missing, given that we already know he's going to be missing that bye week. So if you can afford to hold Macrae, it saves you a trade, obviously, that, as you mentioned, in all likelihood will be a sideways trade and, interrupt your one up, one down upgrade cadence that we were just chatting about there. So, it's the opposite side of it is that otherwise it is a bit of an opportunity to jump on the likes of a slightly more expensive primo. Could you potentially hold him and then trade him to, I don't know who it would be. I mean, coming out of round 13, could you go for a Butters potentially? But if you've held him up until that point, you might as well just stick with Macrae. So, yeah, your hands are kind of tight at this stage, and you'd need to trade him to someone who has had their bye in round 12 in order to sort of benefit. So you're not trading into a premo that has a bye coming up, because then you know, it's much for muchness type thing, as we were just chatting about. But
the only way it makes sense probably to me is if you are trading to a player like I don't know if you can get a Jack Sinclair out of it, or I don't know, a Freo player who's got that same round 13 bye, but it's easy to cover because it's only the two teams.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. That's a very good point.
That's how I would probably be looking at it personally. But yeah, it's a tough one as well. I mean, it could be an opportunity to jump off him, considering looking at his scores, his last two scores were in the 70s. He's got an interesting scoring, like just looking at his top scores, 162, 160, but then it's 127, 120, 104, 100, then it drops down to 70, 79, 77, 77, and 70. So it's kind of like he hasn't really got that. He's got a ceiling.
Yeah.
Got a floor, but not as good a floor as we probably would like.
Yeah.
It averages out okay because it is at that average of 107.6, but yeah, be nice if he was able to maintain those higher scores.
And it's, as you mentioned, just in reference to your team, like in terms of finding pods, I mean, this is kind of anti-podding in a sense that if you're jumping off him, because he's at such a high ownership of, 74%, sorry, of the competition, it would mean that if you're jumping off him, his ownership is still going to be quite high. He's going to be owned by the majority of the competition. He's not going to be dropping by 20%, I don't think.
No, so currently only at 12% trade outs.
There you go.
And currently in 74% of teams. So that's, still going to be above 50%.
Yeah.
Well above.
So it might be an opportunity to potentially go anti-pod and make up some ground on those coaches that are holding him, maybe.
Exactly. It's an aggressive style. I don't mind it. Especially if you can jump on. I mean, we're going to talk about some trading options, so maybe we'll get into that then. But I think there's definitely some players that you could be considering from that could be a bit of a nice little anti-pod and then a pod as well, which might help shoot you up the ranks. Next up, we do have Riley Bice, defender, 354.1k, break-even of 84. And we spoke about Bice last week, and it's even more of an issue this week, having lost 21.2k on the weekend off the back of 55, and with a break-even now of 84. In his past 3 weeks, his average has dropped from 90.2 to 79.6, and he's become a bit of a scoring liability as well if you do have him on field. Time to punt him before he starts to lose more cash. Get rid of him.
Yep. Yeah, I think so as well. I punted him the week just gone, and I think he's at that stage now where he's going to start progressively losing a little bit of coin from here on out. So he's made enough money. So good opportunity to get rid of him.
Yeah, agree.
Now there is his Sydney teammate as well, Caden Cleary, as a forward, 260.1k with a break-even of 62, has increased 135.6k in total, and it's probably time as well to consider cashing him out if you're in need of cash to fund an upgrade. His break-even of 62 is now actually higher than his average of 60, so unless he gets a bit of a spike score, his price increases will now crawl, and if he has a low game, well, the opposite happens as well. He's going to, I think, lose a fair bit of cash, much like Bicey did. So one to consider. Could hold him because his break-evens, I think, will be consistent throughout, but we're kind of at that stage now where we need to find guys, to squeeze a little bit of money out of in order to fund upgrades.
Yeah, agreed. I think he's leveling out now, probably, in terms of his maxing out with his price. 260 is the 35 that's dragging his break-even up, or spiking his break-even, I guess, will drop out shortly. So he might lose some cash and then make a bit more cash, but I don't think it's worthwhile. Like SuperCoach Gold is projecting him to drop 2.9k with a score of 55. And then a 58 the next week, we'll see him rise by 8k, which ends up meaning he'd be an extra 5k in 2 weeks. It's not really worthwhile. After that, he goes up another 4K, gets to 269.7K. I don't think it's worthwhile holding him for that, for the risk that he does drop. That'll get him through to his buy though. So if it's potentially something that you could do, but yeah, if there's someone that we look at on the bubble, could be a nice little player to cash in and get some cash out of. Next up, we have my boy Isaac Kako, mid forward eligible, 226.9K, break even of 73. He's now had back-to-back season low scores of 30 and 32 and suffered his first price loss of the season to the tune of 7.6K. Break even of 73 is higher than any score he has managed, so in all likelihood will drop further in price, so it's time to consider when it's worth cashing out on the 77.4K he has generated before that drops further. Get rid of him, punt him.
Into the sun?
No, not that level. Not that level. But
he's not going to the moon. He's going the opposite
direction. He's not quite the Joe
direction.
Barry that I've got sitting on my bench doing nothing.
Oh, Barry, I forgot about him.
I haven't.
He's been a thorn in your side by the sounds of it.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah.
I can just see Kako though. This will be a spike game, like against the Tigers. Like yeah. Anyway.
Of course.
Whatever.
Well, I was expecting that against the Eagles, and I was bitterly disappointed. And I'm like, you know what? When's it going to happen? So I punted him about 3 weeks ago now because I was sick of him, and I thought the same thing. I'm like, a bit of a risk. People still own him. He's going to be going up in price, no doubt, off the back of a bag of goals, but thankfully it didn't happen. It will happen sometime. It always does, but hopefully it's not this week when a lot of people jump off.
That's it.
Let's move on now to the next category, and it is trade-in candidates. So first up, we have Jack Sinclair, defender midfielder, 539.6K with a break-even of 66. And we spoke about Sinks last week as a bargain primo, and for good reason, as he has returned to his nice form in recent weeks, following up his 124 with a 131 on the weekend. He only increased 10K on the weekend, but is still 53K below his starting price, and even more of a bargain considering in round 5 he was priced 100K more expensive than he is now. When we're talking about value primos, he should be among those on the top of the list, given he is currently the second best averaging defender and all but a lock to finish as a top 6 defender. But the time to grab him, I think, is now with that low break even of 66. So if you don't have him and you're looking for an upgrade, I would try and target him. Helps as well that he is a defender midfielder, so you can upgrade across either line.
That's it. Other benefit to him is he has that round 13 bye. So just him and just he is the bye. Just St Kilda, and so easy to cover, but then great coverage across those other bye rounds as well. Here's one that I'd be looking to potentially with Macrae out. If you can swing some DPP around, get him in if you don't already have him, because it's kind of a like for like in terms of the buys. Yeah,
exactly right. 100%. I do rate that.
Yes. And next up, we have a forward mid that you can consider. Shai Bolton, 430.2K, break even of -8. Oh, love it. Bolton presents as a value selection due to the fact he produced a putrid game of 5 in round 8 against the Saints. But either side of that game scored 115, 102, 114, and 150. But as we know with Bolton, he does come with high variability in his scoring, such as in 2024 when he had 3 scores above 100, 2 above 120, and 17 below 90, seeing him finish 200K below his starting price. Will 2025 be any different? It's up to you if you want to take that risk. I'm not advocating for it. But at least this season, we do have the flex to account for this type of high variance player. I actually don't mind picking him. It's going to be tough. I mean, obviously with Macrae and Horne-Francis out, people are going to be jumping on. He's the most traded in player not in my side currently.
Oh, wow.
So it's 7.9% trade-ins at the time of this record. I don't know. I had him a couple of years ago and hated it, every minute of it. So it's one of those things when I think, why? But I don't mind the fact that he does have that ability to score well. So just looking at his scores for the season, one score of 150, 2 above 110, one above 100, and then one in the 90s, two in the 80s, a 57, and of course that 5. Sorry. I love that it's 5 from 103 minutes too. Like, what?
Oh no. When I first saw it,
What did he
I was
do?
trying to think back because I painstakingly watched that game and it was putrid, as you mentioned, absolutely putrid. And he was non-existent. And I was like, wait a second, was he the sub for a score of 5? No, full game of 5. He was giving Bo Allen a bit of a run for his money, I reckon.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I don't
Incredible.
know. Pick him if you want.
Yeah.
I don't hate. Again, as I said, I don't hate it, but probably not one for me.
No,
But
I
also
agree
could
as
be
well.
one for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I see the name Shea Bolton and I'm not a massive fan of him because of that variability.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you look historically at his averages, he's actually not too bad, but that was when Richmond were at like the height of their powers. As soon as they started to falter and struggle, I hate using the term, but it's the only way to label it. He's the sort of player that's a bit of a front runner, I will say, because when the team's performing well, he performs well. He's not the sort of player to sort of stand up and, impact the game like a Merritt or a Cripps or anyone like that. Like he's not that sort of primo. He's that enigmatic type player, can bob up when the team's going well and score goals, do the miraculous. So I think people are probably maybe, because I mean, once that 5 cycles out of his price cycle, which will happen this week, this coming round 11, his price is going to go up. But that's contingent upon him continuing to score like he is. And I don't have confidence that he will. That's the one thing that's scaring me. Like looking at SuperCoach Gold, it's saying that
Literally what I was just about to do.
Yeah, projected score of 102, he's going to go up close to 50K. And then if he scores 118, so another big score needed after that, he's going to go up close to 40K. So it would go up around about 45 to 90K across 2 weeks. But can he actually score that well in 2 weeks to come? I think he'll make money, of course, no doubt. But I just don't have confidence. As you mentioned, I've owned him in the past and he has been so frustrating. So I think back to Jaden Short and I'm like, a player that has burnt me in the past, I took another gamble on and it's hurt me. And at that price point as well, I'd much prefer to go for someone like a Vicentini who's close to 200K cheaper, will make more money. And probably, I mean, Vicentini's averaging a 91. Can he, push Bolton for what he's averaging? He's averaging a 90.3 at the moment. So I just prefer the money in the bank with Vicentini.
And I think there's the money in the bank, but there's also the role. The role as the ruck is generally going to, as a first, if he maintains that ruck, maintains that status as the number 1 ruck for Port, the role is more likely to score well. That's what I like about Vicentini over Shea Bolton.
Yeah, exactly. It comes down to a role as well. And who knows, like with Bolton, does he continue getting runs through the middle? Is he going to, because Freo's been very up and down as well. And I don't exactly trust them as a team.
But I think as well, just look at that. Like he had 2 scores of above 100, then he had a 5, and then he had 2 scores of 100. Like, I mean, I don't watch all of Freo's games, so I can't comment on them. But I highly doubt he had a massive role change for that one game.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
role change that saw him score 5.
Well, he had 20, just looking at the CBAs, he had 26% CBAs against the Saints in that round. And either side of that, he's had 46%, 52%, and on the weekend, he had 48%. So he's getting rotations through the middle, which is good. Probably a bit more time in the middle compared to previous games. But, I mean, O'Meara's not in the team. Hayden Young's going to be out of the team for a little while. So maybe it can persist. I don't know. I'm talking myself into him. I've got to stop now.
You're talking me into him. I don't looking at his scoring history, I don't hate it. Because even if you look, and I know this is a bit of probably a false, I don't know, positive thing to look at here. Looking at his high scores for the remainder of the season against all the teams he's played, they're all in the hundreds. Like obviously his low scores, but I kind of always question low score because low score, I mean, obviously he scored 5 against the Saints this season, but low scores generally come from rookie seasons.
Yeah.
Or sort of that first couple of times they play. So I do kind of don't mind looking at the high score and saying, okay, well, he's got the ability to score well against each of these teams. And then even looking at his averages, as you said, across the seasons. Like barring last season, they've been in that, high 80s, mid to high 80s or 90s, sort of outside of that really early on in his career when he was sort of not playing each round. So yeah, I don't know. Or maybe I'm talking myself into him now.
Yeah. I mean, he's averaging like 90 at the moment. So it's like, can he increase his average enough to warrant bringing him in as a bit of a playing cash cow? I don't think so personally.
I mean, yeah.
I imagine a lot of people would be trading like a Macrae or Horne-Francis down to him to make a little bit of money. So maybe that's kind of their play, and then riding him for a little bit of a cash prize and whether or not they keep him. But I don't know. Like I'm personally down to 15 trades, and I don't want to be taking gambles on guys like him when I still have to get rookies off field, and I want to aim for like these fallen primos that I haven't got, like a Whitfield, Butters over the coming weeks, and Merritt's another one. So there's a few guys that are going to be up for grabs, and I don't want to be using valuable trades and putting money on the head of players in order to get Bolton into my team. And I prefer to go up if I was to trade Macrae or Horne-Francis compared to going down.
Yeah. The one thing that I will say in favour of Bolton is when we compare him to all right, let's just take out that 5. Like, it's just let's ignore the 5 for a minute. His scores are 57 at the start of the season, then 94, 87, 89, then those hundreds, as we've spoken about. They're not bad scores. All right, the 57 is not great, but still 94, 87, 89, you take that for a forward in that role. It's probably better than most of the rookies that we've got, so I don't hate trading him in knowing that. And then potentially just keeping him knowing that he's going to either be your flex player because he's got that mid forward eligibility, or knowing that he's going to play as your F7 or your M8, and just look for those spike scores when you can loop him on.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know.
Something to consider. We'll have to.
I just don't think. I think as well, the one thing to consider here is, all right, you're probably not going to get him for 430k, but you probably will get him sub 500.
Yeah,
later in the season. So I don't like. He's a bargain now, 70k. If you want to call him a bargain, I don't know. But I don't think you're gonna have to pay massively more for him.
Yeah, exactly right. Yep, I think I might wait, but we'll still weigh things up, of course. But let's move on because we have a few extra players to roll through. And it is Luke Jackson, ruck forward, 542.7k with a break-even of, ding ding, 69. And we all know Jackson is a different beast when he has the outright ruck mantle whenever Darcy is out of the side. And he once again proved it on the weekend with a 143. Trouble is, Darcy is slated to return either this round or the next. So you'd hate to bring Jackson into your side only to see him regress back to his lower ceiling scores playing a majority of time forward. Given this, we just wanted to warn those of you out there strongly considering him, as his scoring is tied to Darcy's absence.
Can Freo just stop hoarding these two? Just let them...
It's like Grundy and Gawn at Melbourne.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Seriously. It just clips both of their wings, I feel.
Yeah.
Not really Darcy's, but just Jackson's, really. But anyway, yeah, I would not be getting on him unless Darcy is confirmed out for the rest of the season. There's just no point.
No.
Let's move on to the next guy, Geordie Clark, defender, 521.7k, break even to 55, is in my side already. I traded him in, so you should consider him as well. Has been one of the more consistent players in 2025, scoring 100 plus in 8 of his 10 games. Even in 2024, he had an incredibly consistently high floor as well, with 16 100 plus games, so just 7 games that went below 90. We highlighted him last week when he was the 7th best defender and has since nudged up into 6th spot, and to get a top 6 defender at 42k cheaper than his starting price is worth a look. 2 bonuses are he plays at Optus Stadium in 8 of his remaining 13 games, where he has produced his 3 highest top scores, and he is a bit of a pod compared to higher owned Premos at just 11% ownership. If he does produce a score closer to his 106 average, he could increase upwards of 20k this weekend, so the time is now to jump on him. Also, as we've stated, has a favourable buy, so it's good cover as well. It's all coming up, Clarky.
It is, and I am jumping on him this week. I was desperate to get him in last week and couldn't afford to do it in 2 trades alongside Sinclair, so he's always been the one man I've been eyeing off, so I am keen to join you, Liam, as an owner. And should just mention as well, I just had a quick look at the injury update as they did come out this evening. And Freo, they've said that Darcy is good. He's progressed well through the gears last week, and the plan is to see him main train on Wednesday. And if he gets through that, he'll be available for selection. So just going back on the discussion about Jackson, don't get him in off the back of that.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Let's move on to the next guy, and it is Kitty Coleman, defender, 269.1k with a break-even of 38. Finally made his long-awaited return after an extended layoff from that ACL injury he suffered in opening round last season. Scored a 72 on return and looked lethal with his pinpoint passing off half-back and took 2 kick-ins as well. Was managed for minutes in his opening game with 68% time on ground, but that will be dialed up over the coming rounds as he gains full fitness.
Yeah.
And with that, so too, his scoring ceiling will lift. However, he has only played just the 1 game. And as we say with Philippou, who failed to produce in his, second game, I should say, it isn't the safest move to go early on a player when we can afford to wait another week, especially when Coleman is returning from over 12 months off with that knee injury that included setbacks as well in his return. So I'm not a massive fan to jump on him now. I'm only mentioning him here because I think he's in the second most traded in of those players I don't have in my side. So I was like, what are people doing? Why aren't you waiting? So strange.
4.4% of people have already traded him in.
Yeah. Wow.
I'd be waiting most certainly for him.
Yeah.
Because all it takes is 1 shit score this week, or for him to have a bit of a flare up and be rested or whatever it might be.
Body
so I'd be,
down.
that's it. I'd be holding off. Don't mind what I saw, but willing to wait on him most certainly. Next up, we have Matt Rowell, mid-eligible, 464.8k, break-even of 72, don't do it. Rowell comes in as a cut price option, 85.5k, cheaper than his starting price, and there's good reason for it. After a hot start to the season featuring scores of 137, 136, 74, 126, 130, he encountered a rough patch of form, shock horror, with scores of 69, 53, and 80, seeing his price plummet. He bounced back nicely with a 124 against the Hawks on the weekend, and now looks to have bottomed out. But the question is, can he be trusted? No. We saw the variance in his scoring last season, frustrating many who jumped on him, i.e. me. It seems while he has a ultra-high ceiling, he also has a fairly low floor, I can confirm.
Non-existent. That's spoken perfectly by a man that has been burnt badly by the fiery red-headed Matt Rowell. I agree. I agree though, because I was considering him at the same time as you last season, and I didn't go for him, and I was kicking myself, but it didn't take long for me to be patting myself on the back and counting my blessings for not going for him.
Like I'm just looking back, I'm literally now just looking at his season last year, eerily similar.
Yeah.
So he had a good run, was averaging into round 7, was averaging 131, then had a 65 and 83, then had a 128, a 94, a 111, and then basically didn't ton up for the next about 10 rounds.
Wow.
With a 97 as his highest, then his next highest was 82. So he finished the season, just for context, at 482.4k.
Wow.
So
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Would you go for Shea Bolton, 430.2, or would you go for Matt Rowell, 464.8k?
So I was actually going to say, when we were talking about it before, when you were talking about it, when you said for 430k, I wouldn't go for him. And I'd be like, I wouldn't go for him because you could get Rowell for 30k more. But now that I think about it, I don't know if I would.
No.
I don't know what they're, the only thing, I don't know if they're, sorry, I'm just having a quick look. So people
Well,
first, yeah,
Bolton
he doesn't
is averaging
actually
90.3.
score, and he hasn't averaged very well at People First Stadium, which is his home ground, 74 and 69 in those two games. So it's not as though he is, because they've got a good run coming up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games there in the back end of the season. It's not like he's, looking like he's going to kill it there. I don't know. Honestly, don't know. I'd probably go with Bolton only because I feel
DPP?
like, yeah, that's what I like. I like that he's got DPP, but I
Yeah.
see them weirdly very similarly in terms of they have that high variance in scoring.
Yeah.
Like you can get that one, that 150 score, but you're also going to get that 60.
Yeah. No, it's totally true. I think the one thing that separates them for me is that Raul looks to have a bigger ceiling more consistently
Yes, I don't
compared
mind that.
to
Yeah,
Bolton. But yeah, their floor is very similar where it's almost non-existent at stages. So they're both, I think, perfectly fit for the flex if you can afford to do it. But
yeah.
obviously Raul's only mid only and Bolton, the DPP, probably, provides coverage. It does provide coverage across two different lines if you have
Yeah.
swings.
The other thing just to consider with Raul, upcoming games. So you got St Kilda, potential tag there, Wintega.
Yeah.
Freo, not really. Geelong, O'Connor potentially. GWS Bedford, Melbourne, Clary Oliver.
Jeez. Oh, Class. That'd be a
and
good
then-
matchup, actually. They're very similarly built.
Actually. And then after that, it probably clears up a little bit. Dons, Collingwood, Adelaide, Brisbane. Yeah, not really any more tags probably for the rest of the season. But yeah, just something to consider there. That next stretch of 5 games could see a few tags in it for him.
And it's interesting as well. I mean, Anderson has kind of stepped up as well. Does he
Yeah.
attract a little bit of attention away from him? I don't know. But yeah, it's always that worry. Like, Raul is so impactful around the contest and they take that away from him. And yeah, hence the low
And
scores.
I guess with that in mind as well, here's another one that you might consider Noah Anderson instead of Varel. 544K, so similarly priced, bit cheaper. But probably hasn't this season, when I say without having looked properly, hasn't really had the ceiling. No, just the 136 and a 152, but has only gone sub 100 twice for the season so far. And that was a 96 and an 89. So has a decent floor there. So I think if you were going to look at the two of them, I'd probably lean slightly more towards Anderson. He's probably less good flex-wise because he's not looking like he's got massive ceiling. Obviously, he has got his ceiling scores, or spike scores, but not necessarily the ceiling scores. But he has a decent floor. So if you are playing for leagues, that's probably not. I'd rather go for him than a Raul.
Yeah.
Because
It might
Raul
kill
will
you
come out
some
of the
weeks.
wash. The average will he'll win you some matches, but he'll also lose you some matches with Raul.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. Very, very good point to make. Let's move on to the next category of on the bubble. So there's a few players here to sift through. Some more relevant than others. As we kind of go on, they become a little bit less and less relevant. But we have first up Cooper Simpson as a forward, 119.9k, break even of negative 53. Has scored 53 and 71 in his 2 games, playing largely off defense. And he has the best break even of those rookies currently playing and those obviously on the bubble. So it looks like the safest pick available. So I brought him in a week early
Likewise.
of those that were available. Good to see. And we don't have to worry now. We've already got him so we can afford to look elsewhere and potentially make upgrades and whatever.
Yep, agree. Next up, we've got Dante Vicentini, ruck eligible, 248.9k, break even of -34. He's impressed in his first 2 games for 2025 with scores of 98 and 84 after taking the number 1 ruck spot away from Sweet. But speaking of Sweet, we've mentioned, have flashbacks from last season. We brought him in after he took the mantle from Soldo, only for Sweet to soon struggle to find his way back into the side after injury. So we need to make sure Dante will stick around long enough for us to benefit from him as a cash cow, which does sound awfully familiar to those of us who had similar worries about Flynn in our starting sides.
Bit of a ruck merry-go-round. I don't think Hinkley's as crazy as McQualter, but he has been crazy because, as you know, in the past, the merry-go-round, Soldo, Sweet, Vicentini. Vicentini was that man who came in to cover for Sweet when he was out for a couple of weeks when he was injured.
It's
and
weirdly,
then I don't know what they're doing.
Parallel.
Yeah. That's the word for it. A very strange parallel. But let's move on to Mateus Philippou. Mid forward, 313.8K with a break even of 56. And there were some who went early on Philippou, as you mentioned earlier, off one game, hoping he would build upon the 78 that he scored first up, but he was only able to manage a 53. Similar to the first game, he wasn't fully injected into the midfield role where he scored so well in, as he did late in 2024, but he was given at least some CBAs with 22%. But it would seem his ability to score well is tied to playing a majority of time in the engine room, as he did with scores of 112, 101, 85, and 80 in his last 4 games of the 2024 season. Concerningly too, he only had 59% time on ground, so it seems as though they are still managing his workload until he regains full fitness. So that probably means that, the amount of time he has in the middle is going to wait and contingent upon him getting full fitness. But above all else, it's worth waiting until he establishes more of a role in the middle before committing. But the injury to Macrae on the weekend could be the opening to provide that. The other thing to take note of as well is he's one of those players with highly questionable disposal efficiency.
Yeah.
Absolutely putrid at times, 50%, 40%, nudging 60%. So that does hold back his scoring. But as we saw last season, it's his impact around the footy that really does make up a bulk of the work when he does come to points. So again, I think I'm just happy to wait. He's playing half forward. Man, not for me.
It's a risky play, but you could trade him to Macrae. Make some
That's
cash.
True. Yep.
You'd be banking around 200K. I don't like it because it's a risk. You don't know that Philippou's definitely taking that role. If Philippou was playing in the middle, but just sort of a little bit, of it, like a bit more than 22%, and it was going to solidify his role, I'd feel a bit more comfortable, or maybe give him a bit extra, but you're not sure. There's no guarantee that that's what happens, especially with him getting 59% time on ground, because it does look like they're trying to manage him a little bit and then manage him in the forward line as well.
Yeah. Yep. Totally agree there.
Risky play. I don't know. I'm willing to wait and see, like you said, and just hope he kind of doesn't pop off, so he stays around that same price point or potentially drops and then gets that midfield role and can all jump on. Next up.
Who is it, Liam?
It's Jen Buse.
Busey.
Defender eligible, 172.2K, break even of -38. I laugh because I just think of a fan who was, I'm going to call him the Oracle now. When I saw Jen Buse as a potential
it was the
option.
First name that popped into both of our heads, wasn't it?
Exactly. He had him a couple of years ago in SuperCoach, just a bit of a pod, and just insanely
left field.
I don't know, just left field. And now the fact that he's relevant just makes me laugh.
Yeah, ahead of his time.
That's what I mean. It was just when we both saw the name, we both just went JP.
Yeah, it's JP. That's incredible. Incredible foresight to predict it. He was just ahead of his time. If only he waited.
He took our crystal ball and he was like, yes.
I foresee the Busey.
But we're considering him. Him. Came back into the side after a long layoff due to finger surgery, and scored an out of the box 95, but did regress back to his historical standard scores of 45 on the weekend. Hasn't averaged more than 45 to 50 across a majority of his career, so might be a bit of a slow burn, i.e. Kako. But the bigger worry is he could soon lose his spot once the likes of Stewart and Kolajasny return. Good job on spelling Kolajasny there as well, Damon, I have to say.
Thank you. I did cross-check multiple times as I was typing it out. I know the Colo part and the D, because I always like collared, and I'm like, there's a J. And then what happens after that, I don't know. Cross-check, Alt-Tab, and I was cross-check.
Was great.
I could have just done it like what's the word for it? Phonetically or whatever, like how it
Yeah.
sounds. You spell it
Yeah,
how it
yeah.
sounds. So that would have been interesting.
Did well.
Yeah.
Like probably no for me.
No. No, I would say
Just
not.
because I'm
Considering,
worried about his spot.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And considering we're trading Kako out of our teams, we don't want to bring another Kako type in.
And at 172, it's not like if he was 90k and he's a slow burn, I'd be like, yeah,
Yeah.
right. Like I kind of accept that. But he's not giving you bulk cash on the trade out. Like, he's not maximizing your cash on the trade out. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep, no, I agree. We'll leave it up to JP to bring him in. I hope he brings him in. He has to. He has to. We'll
Number
wait
one
and
ticket
see.
holder.
Yeah, exactly. He's the driver of the Jed Buse train. Classic. Finally, it's getting some passengers, maybe, who knows? He's been waiting at the station for God knows how long. Finally, people are jumping on the train. Classic. Toot toot. Well, let's move on to Jackson Binns, midfielder, 171k with a break-even of -19. He has worked his way into the side off the back of some solid form in the VFL and produced scores of 76 and 56 in his first 2 games at Carlton, playing largely off the wing and drifting forward. But as is always the knock on Binns' game, he has highly questionable disposal efficiency with 57% and 45%, which hold back his scoring ability. But more concerningly, could be a reason why he soon finds himself out of the Carlton side with poor disposal and ball movement across the Carlton side being the subject of scrutiny in recent weeks. I'm a big fan of Binnsy. He can always find the ball, but he can probably kick it as well as what I do. So that lends me to think maybe I should get a game at Carlton. So I reckon that's not a good thing. And I think he probably finds his way out of the team, maybe as soon as this week. Doherty's one guy who smashed. He's had 37 and 39 disposals, I think, back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
A senior head. And even though he hasn't been performing at senior level, he's now shown some form in the VFL. And I think he probably will come in, play a similar role, especially along the wing there. So we'll wait and see. But for me, he's a no, because even if he does play this coming round, I reckon he will be out of the side soon enough, or at the very least be a sub. So
yeah, I agree. I don't like the 171 price tag either.
no.
Yeah, not much more to say then. Next up, we do have Thomas Sims, ruck forward, 113.5k, break even of -26. He scored a 45 and a 48 in his first 2 games, playing forward and ruck relief for the big Nank the Tank. Kicked a goal in both games, and his ability to pinch hit in the ruck gives his scoring a very nice little bonus. Given the youth policy that we do see at the rewarding Tigers, and with Lynch out through concussion, Sims should stick around and be given time to develop. Just be mindful that he might be a bit of a slow burn cash cow, but at 113.5k and potentially being able to play him, in your ruck, depending on who you've got there, like ruck R3, but also on the bench in the forward line, could be a nice little swing around as well. I don't think he's a bad pick.
Yeah, he's not too bad. I mean, we have a little idea about his job security, but playing in a rebuilding team, surely they give him a bit of a crack. So don't mind him. The other guy here is Archer Day Wicks, mid forward, 99.1k. I see you shaking your head, Liam, for good reason. Break even, -11. Scored a 33 and 37 in his first 2 games, but does he keep his spot after a lackluster performance by the Dons against the Dogs? Perhaps not the safest job security, I think, despite the juicy low price tag. No, definitively avoid.
Yeah.
Unknown.
I just don't think a 33 and a 37. I don't think his role screams SuperCoach scoring.
Yeah.
And job security is questionable. Gresham obviously not playing. Menzies on the sidelines, capable playing. Wealthy as well. There's a few players there that could take his spot. So I probably wouldn't be looking to trade him in. A big fan of his, but yeah, not here.
Yep. No, I agree.
Next up, we have Kane McAuliffe, mid-eligible, 244.3k, break-even of -1. He's worked his way back into the Richmond side and scored a 50 and a 96. Pleasingly, has also been given CBAs with 58% and 44%, though there are questions that remain over his long-term job security. He played the 9 games in 2024 where he was sub in 3, and managed for time on ground across the majority before he found himself out of the side. Could the imminent return of Dion Prestia see him lose his spot? I mean, let's be real. Dion Prestia probably come in and play like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Get
then be
injured,
back
subbed
out
out.
again.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, 244K. I don't want to spend that much. It's not really a downgrade at that price with the way the rookies are at the minute.
Yeah. Well, the way I said as well, it's like going for him or a Vicentini at virtually the same price point, and Vicentini has a better role. Just easy points, hit outs to advantage, all that sort of stuff. So
Yeah,
I think I prefer taking the slight gamble with Vicentini compared to him.
agreed entirely.
Very nice. Well, Liam, it is that time to
Yes.
pop on our hats of the captain variety and waltz in to the cockpit, sit down next to each other as we both say, well, one of us has to say, you're not it, because I'm the captain now.
Look at me. I'm the captain now.
Now, I mentioned there, of course, because you'd have to be the co-pilot. You can't have 2 captains. That's not a thing, isn't it?
No.
And it's like,
I assume not. I don't know. I don't go on. I don't fly planes.
I thought apologies. I thought you did. My mistake. I thought you were going to fill me in there. I could have sworn I've seen you at the airport, Liam, just waltzing in.
I do.
They're always surrounded by the hostesses.
Yeah, sorry. I do
that.
often. I do often fly planes.
Yeah, too often. And they're always carrying a briefcase. What's in that briefcase? Nothing. It's just for looks. There's blank bits of paper, isn't there?
Yeah, that's it. It's all for looks.
All for looks. Or you're writing down your number and giving out to to women who are throwing themselves at you like, oh my God, it's a pilot. It's the captain. And you're like, yep, that's me, ma'am. I'm the captain now. I don't know why you've got an American accent, but you do. You do. Oh, classic. What's the segment, Liam?
It is I'm the captain now.
Yes.
We do chat about VC and C options in this one. And we've scrounged through the data. We always do it. We get our suitcase out, we fill it with paper, we scrounge through the data, we get our calculators out, and we find the best options for you to consider. We don't use our phones.
Use the blank bits of
we don't use our phones.
We
get actual calculators out.
Yeah, exactly. And we make use of those blank bits of paper in our little briefcases.
Yes, that's it. Anyway, first up.
We're so close to the end. We've derailed already. Apologies.
First up, we've got Marcus Bontempelli faces the Cats, who he loves playing in recent times with scores of 141, 122, 113, and 146. Combine that with the Bonds 2025 form of 159, 128, 141, and 140 in 4 of his 5 games, and it equals a very tantalizing prospect if you can afford getting him in, or if you already have him. But yes, don't mind if you do have him, a VC on the Bont on Thursday night.
I like it. And another guy I really like, and of course he featured in our round remix, is the hot Xerri Pie.
Yes.
It is Tristan Xerri. And at this point, Xerri is instantly a captaincy option with recent scores of 144, 158, 146, 186, and a 150. Geez, he's setting a high standard. And Collingwood, they actually concede the 5th most points to opposing ruckman across the past 10 games. So it's a relatively green matchup for Xerri for once again, potentially to feast.
Yep. Next up, we have Max Gawn. Miso Gorney had his...
I just wanted you to say that. I'm glad you said... What are you, Liam?
Me so horny. Me love you long time.
Miso Gorney. I love that it's also just like a little Japanese, like...
Yeah, misogoni. Yeah,
sounds like some
miso.
sort of a... Sounds like some sort of a sushi option.
He's the soup. He's the soup. Well, over the past couple of weeks, when rookie coach has been in, I've been referring to him as miso, not even as Gorn or Gorny, just miso for short.
Miso.
Very good.
He had his lowest score in recent weeks, 119, which is hilarious and puts into perspective the massive scores that he has been pumping out. While his recent scores against Sydney haven't been the best with a 65 and 72 in his last 2, Sydney is still giving away the 6th most points to opposition rucks. So definitely one to consider there.
Yep, and another guy to consider is Zach Butters. Comes up against Freo, who he has scored 130, 115, and 109 against in his past 3. And elevating his prospects is the fact that Freo conceded the 3rd most points to opposition mids. So don't mind him.
That's it. And we have Nick Dacos, who is coming off an uncharacteristic 95 and should be itching to come out and atone against North Melbourne, a side who concede the most points to opposition mids and has scored 129, 124, and 99 points against in his last three. Will Dacos get off the chain and inflict maximum pain? Who knows?
Ooh. Poet didn't know it. I don't mind him. Don't mind him. Although you have to choose between either the sweet cherry pie, the hot cherry pie, or Dacos because they're facing each other.
The only thing I'm not loving about Dacos is the last three scores have all been sub 100.
Yes.
So that could also be the other way around too, that he's coming up for a ton.
Yeah, he's due to get some form back, maybe. But one guy who's currently in some hot form is Baz Linker. He's a bit of a cheeky VC option playing first up, and he has an average of 136. 136 playing at GMHBA Alphabet Stadium, coming off the back of scores of 154 and 156, and faces a bit of an extra spice into the mix here. His old side on Thursday, who he's been throwing shade at, hasn't he?
I love it.
Post-match interviews and stuff. It's really, really good. I like it.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I just have to say, sorry, this is just, I feel like this segment, I've been meaning to say this for a while, reminds me of mixed multi whenever we go through it. When we're like, yeah, I don't mind that. And then we just move on to the next one.
Yeah, can I have it? No, you can't have it. Maybe we'll just rebrand it.
Anyway.
Liam's multi. Can you have it, Liam?
No, I can't.
And then we just throw to some gag, like a YouTube video that's been like languishing in the depths of YouTube. There's like some guy falling over, and they make a reference and gag to
Man
it.
who gets hit with football.
Yeah, exactly right. Oh, that's a good point, actually.
Anyway,
it's quick fire, rapid fire.
That's it. Rapid fire. Bailey Smith, love it. Damon, head-to-head captaincy, head-to-head tips. I had the first choice last round, and I went for LeBont, who scored 140, I want to say, on Friday night. And I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, exactly. It's the exact same thing.
Put my feet up. Don't worry about it. But no. You took the red hot cherry pie. And I fell 10 points short because he scored 150.
Yep, he was scorching.
That puts you on 6 wins to my 3. But the points differential is very, very close. Just the 14 points there. So very, very close one there. Now, Damon, the first choice.
I do.
What are you going to do?
Exactly. Or I haven't even thought about this. And of course, I can't go for Cherry because otherwise we'd be going for Cherry week after week. So he's free for you if you want him. And maybe Cherry's cooled. Maybe not. Maybe it's time to eat. I'm going to go a little bit. I'm going to go adventurous here.
Oh, you're going to do what I was going to do.
I'm going to go for the Baz Linker, just because it's going to be an absolute classic. Is he going to be targeted by the Dogs? You reckon they'll try and rough him up just for the stuff he's been saying?
Apparently Libbers said no, but I don't trust him.
Oh, Libbers the man to do it. He's a madman.
I don't trust him.
Just a word that comes out of that crazy man's mouth. Just look at his tats. Look at the tats on him. That speaks enough. Well, Liam, who are you opting for in this case? Sorry, apologies, I took the man.
No, that's all good. I am going to go same game. I'm going to go his old captain. No, I just went LeBont, didn't I? Sorry, I can't go him. I'm going to go Tristan Cherry.
Yeah, exactly right. I should probably be smarter and go for LeBont, but what's the fun in that?
No, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. There's going to be birds absolutely flipped everywhere in this game, I reckon.
Mr. Bean style?
Yeah.
at the window? Oh, classic.
Oh, balls being thrown into people's faces.
Yep. Oh, yes. I forgot about that already.
I reckon we're going to see some fireworks. I just hope we do.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about Baz Linker because you could probably argue that he's as antagonistic as like a Ginnivan, but I enjoy Baz so much more. I don't know, because he doesn't flop for frees as much. I mean, he does at times, but I don't know. He's more of a larrikin. He's like...
Yeah. Like, even the ball into the face. Like, I was watching it and I was like, normally that'd make me annoyed because I'd be like, why do it? Like, just why do that? But I feel like it was almost warranted because, like, he got shoved after the play finished, and I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, then too
Yeah.
bad.
Well, instead of like, the old, grabbing the jumper and like, copping a fine. I don't even think, did he get a fine for it?
I think he got a fine in the end, yeah.
You got a fine. Oh, okay. Well, he's probably copped a fine either way, but instead of like being suspended with like a hit in the face, you obviously can't like, use your fists or your hands. That's the easiest way to do it. Use an object, use the footy, bang. Hey,
we don't
football
condone
head.
this for those children listening.
Yeah, exactly. Do not do this on suburban footy. But one of you was like, hey, football head. And he's like, football head? Yeah, football head. Classic gags.
Oh.
Well, Liam, that rounds us out for the end of this episode. But before we go, where can the good people, the you people, find us across our various channels?
Yes, on YouTube, you can search SuperCoach Edge. And don't forget to subscribe so that you are notified when our content does drop from week to week. On Twitter, you'll find us at @SuperCoach_Edge, David at DamoJ88, myself at Liam Evans_95, Facebook, Insta, TikTok, search SuperCoach Edge. And want to listen to us in audio form, you'll find us on wherever you listen to your podcasts. Just search SuperCoach Edge. Yep. And that's where we'll be. And just leave us a 5-star review. It'd be much appreciated if you enjoy what you listen to.
Yep. And if you got a little bit of time as well, you can leave a review. You can be like, those uppity people that leave movie reviews and they're like, oh, this is 1 star. And then you watch it and you're like, no, it's actually 5 stars. So you could be that person, but in reverse, and be like, people are slagging this podcast. And I think it's fantastic. It's a great source of entertainment. They speak shit and they go a little bit delirious at the back end of episodes, but it's entertaining.
My favorite thing is reading like 1-star reviews on things. And then it just being like, someone was like, I saw one the other day where it was like, product was great, but it took like 2 days to come to be delivered. And I'm like, okay, but that's the delivery service's fault. Not this person who's not the store's fault, but the product. So like, I'm like, you just ruined their ruined
their business. Like just
anyway,
slagging them off.
I hate it.
Yeah,
I'm here for
exactly.
I love reviews.
Yeah. You see some weird ones like about, the person looked at me funny behind the counter. Did they really? Or is it all in your mind? Did they show you attitude, or is it just, they smiled at you incorrectly when they shouldn't have? I don't know. People are strange. There's some funny ones out there. Maybe that's a thing we can bring in to the podcast is like speaking of reviews. This is a bit of a segue, and we'll pick out some of the best that we've seen because there are some out there that are classics.
That is true.
Yep. But
anyway,
don't blame us for the couriers if you're going to leave those sort of reviews to us. It's
if your internet stops working partway through, please do not give us a 1-star review.
Exactly. That's the best parallel there. Well, Liam, let's end things there. Thank you as always for tuning in. Liam, it's a pleasure to have you back. And
it's great to be back.
Feels like regular programming has resumed. So incredible to have you. And likewise, you tuning in. And best of luck for round 11. And we'll see you next week to do it all again.
See you guys.